Happy crafternoon, everyone. I am Gina from Gina K Designs, and it's great to see all of you coming in from all around the world. Today, I'm going to be playing with our Modern Floral bundle. Now, this bundle was part of our current card kit, the Hello Lovely card kit. And some of you, after my last video using this set, said that you still wanted to see a little bit more out of it because you had a little bit of trouble lining it up. Plus, I haven't showed you how to line it up using the dies that coordinate with the flower. So I'm going to do that today and make another card featuring this bundle. I love this bundle so much. But before we get started, let's say hello to Tom. Hey, Tom.
Happy crafternoon.
How are you?
Doing better than horrible.
Tom and I were talking about words of the day a little bit earlier, and I think crafternoon was one of your very first words of the day.
Crafternoon, yeah, it's gosh, it's been a while since we started the word of the day.
Like 2 years, maybe?
Was it? Wow.
I think so, yeah. So, yeah, I think it was one of your very first ones, and we've been using it ever since. It's super fun.
Happy crafternoon.
Crafternoon with Gina K and Tom K. All right, well, will you be back later with a different word of the day?
I will be.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Well, let's get started right away. So if you haven't seen the bundle yet, or you haven't picked up this kit, the kit is now sold out, but we are reordering all of the products for this kit, and they should be back in stock in early March. Part of the problem is that our dies do come from China, and China is celebrating Chinese New Year right now. So they are on an extended vacation. But once they come back, our manufacturer will be making these dies for us, and we will have this back in stock a la carte. So let me show you what this looks like. So this is the Modern Floral stamp set, and you can see it's a very sketchy stamp design. And then you have coordinating stencils that fill in this flower and these little flowers. Then you have dies to cut out the flower, the word friend, and these cute tiny little sentiment strip dies that will cut out all the sentiment strips that coordinate with it. So even though this is a smaller bundle, it really packs a punch because it's got everything, and you can make a lot of great cards with it. Now, last time I made this card, and I love this card. It's a very loose design. The floral is a very loose design, and I also showed you how to make it on the horizontal. This is a 5x7 card. Today we're going to be making an A2 card, so a smaller card, so you can see how these larger florals will still work in a smaller A2. All right, so I'm going to begin by doing some stamping. Now, I am thinking today it might be fun to emboss this outline. So I am going to get a piece of cardstock here, some white cardstock, and my paper cutter, and I'm going to cut this piece of cardstock into quarters because we're going to be doing a couple of these, and I want to make sure that there's enough room in between flowers for me to die cut them. I think this size is going to be just fine. We can get one on each corner, and that will work just fine. So we'll start with those, and I'm going to get my MISTI out for stamping. I'm going to place my piece of cardstock in the MISTI, and I am going to use my embossing magic pad here to just rub over the surface of this piece of cardstock. Now, I saw a beautiful card that Kathy Zilski did when we released this set, and she used some embossing powder for hers too. So I'm going to do something similar as far as the embossing part goes. So I like to position my flower on my cardstock in the same position that it appears on the stamp sheet. So that's going to make it easier for me to stencil when it's time to stencil, because the stencils are lined up perfectly on the two stencil images are lined up perfectly on the stencil to fit right in there. So you'll know exactly where to put it if you have it in the same orientation as the stamp set. So that's my first tip. Try to stamp it in the same orientation that it is on your stamp set sheet, the acetate sheet, because then you'll know that the stencil is going to fit right in there and it's going to be easy for you to line that part up. Kind of easy. I know that some people are struggling a little bit, but it's okay. Remember, this is a loose design anyway, and you're going to see how much easier it is to actually do this if you're die cutting the flower. I think that is kind of a key thing too. It makes it a lot easier if it's die cut. Okay, so I'm going to use some of the Gina K Designs Embossing and Watermark ink. You can use any embossing ink that you want, but I'm going to do this. Okay, and we will stamp that. And then I'm going to put a little gold embossing powder on here. You can use any color you want. I thought it'd be fun to use gold. I thought about using silver, and I think silver would be pretty too, but I grabbed gold, and we're just going to go with gold. Okay. Alrighty. So, I don't know if that's stamped really well. I probably forgot to clean. Well, that doesn't look too bad. Let's just get it over here. There we go. I did forget to clean my stamp last time I used it, so it might be a little rough, and if it is, we'll just do it again. So I'm going to use my Marvy heat tool today. I actually was playing with the Marvy heat tool at home because I had my Wagner here, and I really, really like the Marvy heat tool. Something about it, it's not quite as powerful, which in the beginning I thought maybe wasn't a good thing, but what I'm finding is the embossing powder plumps up a lot nicer when it's not heated too quickly. So I'm really enjoying this heat tool again. You can see that looks pretty good. I might stamp a couple more of these just to be on the safe side. So let's try stamping 2 at a time here. So I'm going to start. I have a new piece of cardstock. I'm going to try doing it like on opposite corners and do 2 at once. We'll see how good that works out for me. I know a lot of you probably have the Marvy because it's the one that I started with many, many, many years ago and recommended. And then a lot of people were talking about the Wagner. And the Wagner is good. It's hot though. And sometimes I burn my embossing powder. I just overheat. And so I took a Marvy one home because I didn't want to leave, you know, my Wagner at home in case I needed it for a video. And then it just reminded me of how good it was. All right, we'll do this. We'll do these one at a time here, just to be safe. Okay, that looks a lot better. I just needed to get a little bit of embossing ink on there. Should I do the other one before I emboss? Why not? Let's be brave. Let's be brave. Okay.
And you're using the Gina K embossing powder, right?
I'm using Gina K Designs Fine Detail Embossing Powder. You can use any embossing powder you want. I do find that the fine detail is nice for the fine lines in images like this. But whatever you have, give it a try. See how it works.
And a question from Kim, can you re-stamp over an embossed image if it's not quite stamped correctly?
You can. Definitely. And I've done that. Sometimes I like to add a little more powder and make it a little thicker. Just don't remove your stamp from the MISTI and put your cardstock back in to the same spot, and you absolutely can do that. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and do this again, and I don't know, I find that the lines just look so nice.
Olivia wants to know what happens when you burn the embossing powder. Booyah!
What happens is it becomes flat and burnt looking, and it doesn't really act the same way as embossing powder does when it's just cooked enough. So, you know, what I would do is when you're heating it, you know, keep it tilted toward the light so you can see when the shine kicks in, and then when the shine kicks in and it gets smooth, I don't know, can you see how smooth that is? That's when it's done. If it looks kind of prickly, it's not done yet. You want to, you know, but you just don't want to overheat it. And I think that's the big thing. You just don't want to overheat it. All right, I'm going to stop there and just do these two. And if we need to do another one for the layout, I don't think we will. I think two is going to work because we're going to add this other little image in there, and that will give me the 3 images that I need. Okay, I'm going to put this back for now. But again, if you have the Wagner, because pretty much all the people out there that are crafting are recommending the Wagner, it's a great tool. There's no doubt it's a great tool. But if you're in the market for one and you're thinking about it, I know that the Marvy one is less expensive, and I've just been getting good results with it over the last few days, and I kind of resurrected it out of my stash. Okay, so now we're going to do a little bit of die cutting. Let me get my die cutting machine here. I'm going to close this up. So now here is where we're going to make things a lot easier for ourselves when it comes to the ink blending, is if we die cut this out first. Now if you try to die cut this after you've ink blended, you are not going to have very good luck unless you really nail the ink blending. So what I'm going to do is I am going to line this up. Now can you see over here on this side, just like in the stencil, over here in this side of the stencil, there's a big V right here. So look for that same, let me see if I can show you this. Look for that same, need something white, maybe colored paper would work better. I really want you to be able to see what I'm talking about here. So give me a second. All right, there we go. Look for that same big V in the die that matches this, and then that's going to be perfect to cut out the image. All right, so you're looking for this big V over here, because if you're looking for 3 things, you're not going to find it on the stamped image, because those 3 things actually get created with that stencil. So just look for the big V and put the big V right in this spot, straight up and down, kind of. I hope that makes sense. Now I'm going to use masking magic to hold this down because I don't want it to move. So I'm just going to put a few pieces of masking magic here. All right, so once I have that in the right position, I'm going to that right there like that, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut it.
Any ideas where to get the Marvy tool? You opened up a can of worms.
Oh, I did. You know, I'm going to look and see if we can get it into our store. And if we can't get it into our store, you can also, of course, check all the local stores. You know, always support your local stores. Check out the big box stores like Simon Says Stamp and Scrapbook.com. You know, any of those stores would probably have it. Now, I know I'm opening a can of worms, and, you know, to my dismay, it may still not be available anymore. I don't know. So I just pulled it out and really liked it and remembered really liking it. So I'm going to see if I can get it in, because I think that would be a nice product for us to have, since I do really like it. All right, I'm going to position this one same way. You know, and you can see here there are 3 spots on this that really help. So I'm going to point this out right now so you can remember it in the video. This loop, and this loop. If you can get those in the die the right way, these other ones, even though they look a little weird, they're going to be fine, especially when you start to stencil. Yeah, I know, and last I saw, the Marvy tool, I mean the Wagner tool, kind of looked like it had a different shape, almost like a gun, you know, it like curved over. So, I don't know. I think Wagner, Tom, doesn't Wagner make like sprayers and things like that? Isn't it more of a tool like from the hardware store and not the craft industry?
Yeah, if that's the same people.
Yeah, I think it is the same people. So I think, like, what it is it's made for like really, really hot, hot things that you would do with a heat tool. And you can hear the difference because, I mean, that's pretty quiet compared to the Wagner. And I'm not saying the Wagner isn't good. It's fantastic. I just found that I'm having fun with this one, and it's quiet and it's a little slower, so I'm less apt to burn. Okay. And if that's not a struggle for you, if you don't burn your embossing powder, then don't worry about it. You have exactly what you need. But if you do struggle, that might be a solution for you. Okay, so we're lining this up in the same position as it is here on the stamp sheet. So I'm just going to put a little bit of tape behind here, and I'm going to line it up just like that. Okay? So it's, that wasn't really just like that. There we go. See how they're in the same orientation? They look the same. Kind of judge maybe a little bit by the center. Just kind of try to get everything in that same orientation. Okay, now I'm going to place this stencil right on top, and it should fit, right? But the next thing you want to do is you want to look. Let me see if I can zoom in really tight here without getting blurry, because I want to show you this. Okay. You want to look around the perimeter and make sure that the white around the perimeter looks even all over. Now you see how there it overlaps a little bit, but it's still even all around. That means you're in the right spot. So once you've got that even all around, I'm going to again use some masking magic to tape this and hold this in place like that. And there we go. Now that's ready to stencil. So really kind of keeping the flower in this same position and keeping the stencil in this same position, keeping the die in that same position with that V right here. It really helps you line everything up a little bit easier. So hopefully this is helping. And a lot of it is going to be better if you actually try it yourself, if you play with it. So I haven't used the orchids in a while. I was thinking about making an orchid card today. Yeah, you could definitely put marks on the die. Just get a Sharpie and put a little dot here on the Sharpie so that you know, and put a little dot there on the stencil so you kind of know which direction. You can even put a little dot on your stamp if you want on the back side. You could put a little dot right there. I've done that before with stamps and dies and everything, where I just put a Sharpie dot on there and you can line it up. The other thing though, remember, if you do put a Sharpie dot on here, stamp cleaner will take a Sharpie off. Like the Gina K Design stamp cleaner will take Sharpie off. So be careful not to clean everything, especially your stencil, or you can clean it and then put the dot right back on. Remember where the dot was. Some people use nail polish, and that works really good too. A little dot of nail polish, because that won't come off with the stamp cleaner. So whatever works for you. That's a great tip. Thanks, Vicki Donnelly, for reminding me about that. Okay, so we're going to go with light orchid, because I haven't used the orchids in a while. And oh my gosh, Vicki Donnelly sent me the most beautiful thing for my birthday. I have to show it to you. I will show it to you in another live. She drew it and colored it, and it's beautiful. It's like, it's Gina K Designs, and it's so beautiful. So I will show you that. Vicki, thank you. I am treasuring that gift. Okay, so I'm going to start by inking up this with a little bit of orchid. These orchid colors are so pretty. Okay, so I went a little light-handed with that first layer, and then I'm going to rub over the whole thing to bring out the gold again, because ink lays on top of embossing powder. Now I'm going to switch to the medium orchid.
So question, can you color before you cut?
You can, but it's harder. If you cut first, it'll be easier to line everything up. So now for this one, I am going to line that up. And here the way I'm going to line it up to make it easy is these points right here, see these 2 points right there, are going to line up in these 2 points right here. So We're going to line that up just like that. There's a hump, a hump, a hump. And then this one I'm going to line up right against here, and this one right against here. So once I get all of that lined up, I'm going to put that down. And then I'm going to go with the medium orchid. Okay, now let me get a tiny brush. I gotta find a tiny, where's my tiny orchid? Here it is. This will work. Now, I'm gonna do my final little thing here. You can see how pretty that looks. I'm gonna do this little dot right here, right over the center, and I'm just gonna use some dark orchid. And I'm using a smaller blending brush here. And there we go. So now, giving that a second to set, then I'm going to take a piece of paper towel, the same one that I cleaned my brush on, and I'm just going to rub over the surface there to get anything removed from the gold. And then you can see we still have the gold shiny powder in there. And we've got that. So that should make it a little bit easier. Now we're going to do the next one, so we're going to do the whole thing over again. But, you know, if you're having trouble, it never hurts to see it a second time. Okay, same thing. It's always easier if you get the stamp set here and then try to lay it out in the same orientation as the stamp set. And I always look up at this loop and then this center part right here to make sure that they're facing in the same direction. That center part's a big tell, because if you see a loop somewhere else, but you can see that little center, the gold line is only on the bottom. It's not up here. It's not connected at the up here on this side. So again, this is straight, and now that is straight.
Wanda wants to know, can she use clear embossing powder?
You can use clear embossing powder, but you'll lose the look of the line. And the line, I think, is key in kind of bringing it all together. So you can use clear if you want, but then you're just going to have the look of the shading and not the detail. And I love the black. Like, I love seeing the harder lines in there. I think that really is what makes this work well. Okay. Hey, Kathy Z, we were just talking about you. In a good way. I was talking about how you inspired me to use some gold embossing powder with this card today. Okay. This will be, it will not be available once the new kit comes out, because I had said earlier in the live that right now China is on their New Year, and so they won't be back until the end of February to make this for us. So they don't make the stamps and the stencils, but they make the dies, and we're not going to release it until we have all the components. Okay, so I cleaned off my brush, and I'm going to use light orchid, and I'm going to do the same thing with this one. A light orchid, kind of going in both directions just to get it a little more even, but I still love the shadiness of it. And then we're going to move to medium orchid. Yeah, I really love this set too. I did not know how popular this was going to be. This is kind of a new thing, a new style for Gina K Designs, and we were thrilled to see how much you guys love it. I am going to clean this off though, because I don't want to get any dark orchid on my medium orchid part. And I always wipe the back if I use something damp, because water seeps under there. All right, same thing, I just had it here. Now I'm just going to move it straight up, line up the 3 humps. There we go. Looking good. And now we're going to go with the medium orchid. Yes. So vibrant. Then our final one again is the little dot We're just going to put that into place. That's real easy to see. And honestly, if that's not perfect, that's not the end of the world. And we're going to go with the dark orchid. And there we go. So again, giving it just a second to dry, I'm going to take the paper towel and just rub over it just to remove any ink that was resting on top of that embossing powder, because that will get all over your hands and whoever gets the card. And then you can see how pretty that gold shine is in there. So now I have two of them. As you can see, this one has already started to dry, so it's drying up just a little bit lighter. And even though these, you know, one thing I always say on your cards, if you put the flowers like this, they look too organized because they're in the same exact orientation. If you shift them like this, it makes them look like different flowers. So when you put them on your card, just shift them and they look a little bit different. Okay, so now we're going to do a background because I want to still use this stencil, but I am going to clean it because I want to get rid of the orchid here. Okay. So what would go well with gold, you think? How about a little sandy beach? I think that would be a good one. Sandy Beach, where are you? Here she is, Sandy Beach. I think Sandy Beach would be a good color with gold. I do love doing gray with this next background idea, but I also, you know, I don't want to clash with the gold. And I think gray would have been good with silver. And I think silver would actually have looked really nice with this orchid color. But we committed to gold, so we're going full-blown gold. I'm going to get a piece of cardstock, and I'm going to cut a piece. I think I'm going to cut this out using Master Layouts too. And did I tell you? I think I told you, but I'll tell you again because it's so exciting. We have a brand new Master Layouts die set coming next Tuesday night. Guys, when you see this, ladies, gentlemen, when you see this, you're going to love it. It's so cute. This one has been in the works for a while, and I designed this one way back when I designed, let me find the one that I designed. Oh, Master Layouts 11. So if you have Master Layouts 11, this is kind of an add-on idea for that one. And it also coordinates with Master Layouts 1 and Master Layouts 2. So it's such a cool design. Okay, so we're going to cut this out with Master Layouts 2. This is the stitched one. Make sure this is tight enough.
Okay, question from a new card maker. Can I do something wrong to make the gold peel off?
No. Well, the only thing that you could do to make the gold, it wouldn't peel off, but it would wipe off, is if you didn't heat it long enough. But once you have it on there, it's not going to peel off. It'll be on there pretty permanently. So, you know how I always use a black layer? I know this is crazy, but I think I'm going to use a gold layer, and I want it to match my embossing powder perfectly. So if you're a new crafter, this will be a new technique for you. If you're one of my old, my regulars, I call them my repeat offenders. If you're a repeat offender and you've been with me for a long time, you've seen me do this before. But I think it's really a valuable technique for people. And I'm going to use this piece for my word. I'm actually going to stamp the word friend in gold as well. Okay, I'm going to need one more white piece. I'll make that a quarter sheet. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I want my gold to match my gold. So I want this gold exactly. I mean, I have gold cardstock, but it's not shiny gold like this. It's more antiqued, and I want it to be a little bit more shiny. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to use any embossing magic because I actually want the powder to go everywhere. And I'm going to take my embossing pad, And I'm going to just smash that pad all around the perimeter of this cardstock.
So you're not using black. People think it might be an AI Gina K.
It might be. I know. It's crazy, right? Let's just see how this is looking. I think it'll be enough. This is one of those times, though, where if you don't get enough embossing powder on here, you can always go back and do a second layer. We were talking about that earlier. Can you do that? Yes, 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 you can. Okay, we'll start with this gold powder here. I'm just going to put that right there. This is a great way to make your own metallic cardstock if you don't have metallic cardstock, especially if you're just using it for a layer. You don't have to waste a whole big sheet of beautiful metallic cardstock if you're just looking for a layer. Okay, I'm going to move this out of the way, all of this, and then we're going to start embossing this. So let's just give this a moment to heat up, and we'll go ahead and start. Now this is going to be that same exact gold, which is going to be so pretty. Love, love, love. See how that's moving around a little bit? I don't care because I'm going to be cutting, I'm going to be cutting around the outside. I'm not using a clothespin for this because it's not going to go in far enough. But it's not near my finger at all, so it's not burning. I could use it and just cut it off, like if I used a gold clothespin, that part would be getting cut off anyway. Okay, so now I've got shiny gold cardstock, and then I can use that as my perimeter color for my white panel that I'm gonna do. I know, it's crazy. I did blow a lot of embossing powder all over my desk by accident, because, I've been showing you guys what it looks like back here, and after the aftermath, the craftermath, as Tom coined one time. But, we're all messy. And if somebody says they're not messy, they're not having enough fun. That's my opinion. I think the messier you are, the more fun you're having along the way. Okay. Now I'm going to cut this down. I know I'm doing this step by step. I could do all my embossing at the same time, and somebody did say that they cut the center out of their cardstock before they layer so they can use their good metallic cardstock, and that's a great idea, but it's still not going to make your cardstock match exactly your gold powder unless you have an embossing powder that matches your gold cardstock. Like if you have that, that's great. I don't, so I really want this to match nicely with this gold. All right, so I'm going to cut this out now. Okay, here we go. Yeah, you're all having lots of fun. That's good. Same, girls and guys, same. Okay. So now I've got that. That's looking pretty good. I've got my gold panel. I know this card, people are not going to recognize it. I'm going to post it on Instagram or whatever, and people are going to be like, that can't be a Gina K card because I don't see any I don't see any black. And you can see now I've got that tiny little gold layer in there. And that's so pretty.
Question.
Yeah.
How do you keep your paper from curling with that much embossing powder? And curious as to why you aren't pouring your embossing powder over a small cookie sheet or container.
Well, I don't don't have my embossing powder stored in containers like some people do, because I have a really tiny craft space. I don't have that luxurious big craft area, so I don't have the place to store that. So I actually just keep them all in the jars. And I could put it over something like that, but this just happened to be in there, and it made it kind of easy. So, you know, a folded piece of cardstock, I just wipe it with a Swiffer duster when I'm done, and then I can use it with any color. So, I don't know, it's just old school, I guess. And it works for me.
And the wrinkled?
Oh, and the wrinkled, yeah. So, if you heat your tool up a little bit first, you're less apt to get wrinkling. You can see that's not really wrinkled at all. If you heat the tool up and just get it a little warm, it'll go a little faster. And you also, like, I think people do this a lot, like they're blow drying their hair. And when you're embossing, you just want to stay on one area until it changes color, and then just keep moving. And that actually eliminates some of that warping. I will use more tape on the back here when I put it on my card base just to keep it really flat. But honestly, this isn't any more warped than the one that was just die cut in white. So I don't know. I think it has to do with heating up your tool first creates a little less warping. You know, because if you're just laying on one spot on the cardstock waiting for your heat tool to heat up, it is going to be more warpy. So give that a try and see if that works for you. And again, I also think that this Marvy tool, I mean, you know, sometimes the old stuff, the new stuff isn't always the best stuff. This Marvy tool, I've had this in my collection. You go back to the very beginning videos and I was using this tool. And that's like 17 years I've been using this in videos. It's just not as hot. It's just not as hot. It still works, but it's just not as hot. And I don't know if that makes a difference with less warping. So I don't know. I'm an old thing, right? And I'm still going strong, so. All right, let's get a friend word here. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to emboss this in gold. I don't know. Sometimes the old stuff works. And you don't always have to have the newest gadget just because a lot of people are using it. If yours is working, just use it. And I like to buy new things because I like to test them, and then if they're good, I like to show you. And I do think the Wagner is a good heat tool. It's definitely a good heat tool. But for some reason, over the weekend, I wanted to do some stamping at home, and I was like, oh, I don't want to take my Wagner, and I dug out my old Marvy, and I was like, this is surprisingly good. So whatever you have is going to work. Okay, so now I'm going to emboss this.
And how far from your paper do you hold the heat tool?
I was holding it pretty close on that one. Some people also say, you know, if you like heat the paper from behind, that they have better luck doing that. I do think that a lot of this stuff is trial and error. And I also think that climate has a lot to do with it. And people don't always believe that, but I do think that, you know, if it's more humid where you are, you're going to have a different reaction with powder. Some people are like, why is my powder so clumpy? And, you know, they live in a very humid climate. Well, that can happen. Powder can get a little more clumpy if it's damp. So I'm going to put it right back where I just brushed it away, but I want to make sure I get enough on there. We'll do the little test now. We'll see how close I hold it. Because I don't know. You know, a lot of stuff I do just because I do it. I don't really think about it. And then somebody asks me that question, and I have to actually do it again to give them the answer. So let's do that now. All right. So I must put my finger right on the design. I'll hold it here this way. See, I'm letting it warm up just a little bit. I'm also, the other thing, this is another little trick, and maybe, you know, I just realized that I do this. I put my fingers behind here, and then I put my thumb and my pointer finger here, and I actually hold it curved. You see that? Like I'm curving it a little bit. And I think that prevents it from warping upward. So that's another thing to try. Try holding it that way, because I always hold it that way. All right, so I'm pretty close here. You see how I'm not like blow drying my hair. I'm just holding it steady until it changes. And there we go. And you see it's not curved up because I held it in that position, and it's nice and shiny. So I would give that a try and see if you get a little bit of better results doing that. I'm gonna let that cool for a second before I run it through the die cutting machine. Because sometimes I've touched it, I'm sure you guys have too, where you're like, oh, that looks great, and you go to touch it and it smears because it's still, warm. All right, now we're gonna take this piece. Let's just have a little fun over here with this piece. Let's see what we can do with this. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create just a little bit of a heart background. Just gonna put that there. I'm going to create a little bit of a heart background using this stencil right here. Just going to stick it in the center, and I'm not going to use much ink at all. Let me find the right blending brush for this. I've got blending brushes all over the place. Here, I'm going to use this. That's kind of peachy. I thought I had one for craft. I guess it's my brown one that I use for craft, but it's so brown. I'm going to use this peach one. You could use peach or brown for this, but there's not much on that peach brush. You see that? So I'm going to use it because this is so light, I don't think it's going to affect my peach at all. Where'd my inkstand go? Oh my gosh. Yesterday I was using oh, it's right over here. Yesterday I was using an inkstand and I put it on the floor. Not yesterday, Tuesday night, and I put it on the floor, and I couldn't find it during my live. I had no idea where I put it. It was such a mess. Okay, so we're just going to ink this up. And you can always test the color to make sure it's a color that you like. I think that's going to be okay. I don't think that's going to interfere. I think it's going to play off nicely with the gold. Because I just want to do a very, very light dusting of something behind here, just to kind of ground these images a little bit. I don't want a lot, just a little something like that. See how that's just a little bit, and then when you get these on here, it kind of, I don't know, it kind of just fills it in a little bit. There's just something back there. If you want it a little darker, you can place it again. You just have to figure out where you were the first time. You can put it down again, and you can extend it a little bit if you want a little bit more. I think that looks like plenty. I don't need anything more from that. Now I'm going to figure out how I want to lay this out, because I want to stamp one more thing on here, which is going to be these little flowers right here. I want to add those in there somewhere. Just need a little bit of green in here, and I think I'm going to use these to add a little green. And because I used Sandy Beach, which is a great color mixing with green, it won't be a problem. If I had used something different like a pink back here, then ink blending green over it wouldn't look very good. But so kind of stick to a neutral.
A few questions where you got your watch band.
Oh, my watch band? It's Brighton. It's a Brighton watch band. So the Brighton store. They have them at all the airports and everything. I got mine in Florida. They sold Brighton at this little boutique. And I saw the band, and what's really cool about it is I have a really tiny wrist, and you can take links out and make it fit really nicely. So, okay, we're going to go back to this now. Kind of jumping all around here today. I feel a little discombobulated, but why should that be new?
Shall we throw in a word of the day and let you catch your breath?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Good time now?
Sure.
Okay. So, word of the day. One of Gina's favorite shopping categories
Uh-oh.
is home decor, right?
Yes.
Loves home decor and looking through that stuff. So, except if what she's looking at and buys involves me putting something together, that's home decor.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Home decor.
I always have a home decor project for you, don't I?
Phrase of the day. Back to the dead space.
All right. Well, I'm going to add this little image right here in this corner. Oh my gosh. There's a lot of people agreeing with you right now, Tom. A few husbands out there. Some wives. All right. So we're going to add this little bit right here. This is just going right onto the cardstock. And then once again, I'm going to put that right on there.
Okay, big question here. Gina,
Yes.
how come during these lives you don't mess up? That is, your die moves and cuts are crooked, you accidentally get ink outside the intended blending area, etc.
Well, you just might have missed it, because I definitely get ink outside of the intended area, and I do make mistakes, and I have laughed, and made mistakes, and you've heard me say a couple times, well, it's better than horrible. A lot of these techniques I've done so many times. I mean, my YouTube channel, I have over 1,100 videos on my YouTube channel. There's hardly a technique that I haven't done. And a lot of techniques are the same. They're just maybe expanded a little bit. Like, stenciling and double stenciling are both stenciling. The double stenciling makes it a new technique, but the actual technique of stenciling is the same. So all I'm saying is I've done this for a really long time, so I don't make a ton of fatal errors, but I make mistakes all the time. So I appreciate that, and it's really sweet of you to say that, because it's very flattering that you think my stuff looks good, but I do make mistakes. I just made one just now, and I probably should go back and stamp this again, but it's a little shallow over here. It's not horrible, but it's better than horrible, and so that is the standard here at Gina K Designs. It just has to be better than horrible. Okay, so now for this one, I didn't listen to myself, and I didn't stamp it in the same orientation because I wanted it to fit a certain way. So now I just have to look at it that way, right? And then I have to do the same thing with this stencil. I just have to turn it in that same direction, right? So that should be pretty easy for you to line up. You just got to kind of get it into view. Once it's in the right spot, then we can add that jelly bean green ink. I do have a green brush here. We had such nice weather for a few days, and now it is just blustery out there. Tom had to shovel. That was a chore today for you, right?
Yes.
And that had nothing to do with decorating. Okay, so I just added a little bit of green in there just because I want a little green. And I know they're flowers, but it still gives you the feeling of having some, as Lisa Hetrick calls it, leafery in the mix. Okay, and then I wanted that to overlap just a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to get my friend word cut out, and then I'm going to just stamp the strip sentiment right on there. Like I'm going to stamp sweet right there, and I'm going to emboss that in gold, and then I'm going to pop friend underneath. So now that we know what we're going to do, remember I didn't plan this card at all. I'm just doing it live with you guys, so I had no idea what the layout was going to look like. Just kind of had a little idea in my head. Okay, So we could say sweet friend, we could say hello friend. Let me get those flowers back here, kind of where I want them. Wherever we put the sweet, I'm going to put it right below the greenery. What is that? Grincheladas? What is that? What's that say?
Grincheladas.
Oh man, you guys are funny. Sharing your words of the day. That's great. All right, so we're going to do sweet right here. I'm going to pick that up. Make sure that looks straight. I think it'll be better than horrible. Straighter than horrible. All right, again with the Embossing and Watermark ink. I don't have any black on this card, so you're right. Nobody's going to believe this is my card. I don't know how I feel about it either, because there's something about having that pop of black that always makes me feel like the card is finished. I don't know if you guys are like that, but always have to have a pop of black. So we'll see. We'll see. This is an experiment.
So we should explain what happened to the guitar.
Yes.
Remember the guitar?
Yes.
We just, we had a few folks who were just having trouble concentrating, I guess, with the extra noise in there. And so...
got some comments.
You know, it's okay. It's... we'll keep the word of the day to distract from really what's important, right? That's enough distraction from what's important.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe we'll bring it back now and then.
Right. But we don't want to upset anybody. And we do understand that sometimes it's hard for people to concentrate. All right, so we've got sweet. And it's just automatic that I curve my hand when I do that.
And it really is all about the card.
Right. That's why we're here. We're here to make cards. I feel like there's more pressure now for the card to be better.
Well, of course.
Because at least, you know, when we had the music, it's like, well, that card was terrible, but the music was good. Now I don't have that anymore. Okay. Now we're going to cut this friend out, and then we're going to assemble this card. Find the friend die. We'll pop that in place. And then again, I like using Masking Magic because it doesn't tear anything. It makes it really easy. For me. Oh, getting a lot of love, Tom. Okay, there we go. Good cut, good cut. Okay, now we'll wrap this up. And then we have to pick a card base color, but I think I'm going to go with white on this one because there's a lot of color in the flowers. And I don't have a cardstock that matches the orchid perfectly, although Passionate Pink would probably be a nice color. See, I'm putting a lot of extra tape on there, especially around the perimeter though, because I do want to make sure that this lines up and doesn't look warpy. See? Not always perfect. Stay down. Okay, there we go. Need a little bit more tape on there, but that'll be good. Okay, so now I'm going to get some white card base here. I think I'm going to do a side fold, even though I kind of always prefer a tent fold. Side folds get some love now and then too. There was a conversation in our group over on Facebook about why it seems like so many designers and YouTubers make the tent fold card. And I was explaining that I like it because, well, I like it for a couple reasons. Boy, I really smashed that down and now it's not right. I'm going to take it apart again. I like it for a couple reasons. The first reason I like a tent fold is because I like the way a tent fold stands up when somebody is displaying the card. You know, it stands up really nicely. It's very easy to see. It's kind of like a billboard almost. And then the other reason is because it does make cards easier to photograph. So if I have to photograph a card for something, it makes it a little bit easier to photograph. I don't know why this isn't sticking down here. I've done this so many times, but maybe it's just me today. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing. A lot of tape on the back here, just because this part could warp a little bit. Maybe I put too much tape. Nah. There we go. And now we'll have our friend. Ooh, what did I do there? Where's my, oh, goodness. Where did it go? I'm looking for my mono eraser. I saw it. Here it is. Got under something. We'll just erase that. That was a Gina fingerprint. Okay, and so we're going to put friend here. Did it here too. What's on me? All right. So we'll put friend there, and then let's pop these up. I feel like we need a little dimension up here. Should we pop all this up? Get a little dimension? I like that. Oh, I really like that. Yeah, let's pop it all up. So I do have some big foam squares that I couldn't find yesterday and then found them on the floor. I mean, on Tuesday after the live, I found them on the floor. So let's pop these flowers up.
I love how when you do colors that bright, you don't need a whole lot of coverage.
No, you don't. Definitely. Tom and I have been stamping together on the weekends. And it's been super fun, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I bet it's very easy for them to pick out who did what. I definitely have a style that is different than yours.
I'm going to get Tom to do a video for you guys because I'm trying to get him into stamping a little bit. Wouldn't that be fun? I don't think I need that here. I think the friend will go there and I need it in the middle. So if you want Tom to do a video, give him a thumbs up. Let's see what you guys think.
Well, no, this is the first time we just got in the stamp room together, and I just kind of did whatever I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And it went off into a really strange place. But it wasn't. It was just really different, right?
I love what you made.
It was very different, and I think if anybody out there wants their spouse to just, try, I think it would be a good way to go about it, just to try it.
Let the spouse just do whatever they want.
Yeah, and basically I did a lot of, it was harder for me to try to take stamps and make an arrangement compared to, I ended up like paper piecing like a collage of different colors together to make like this wild design. We'll bring them in and I guess if you want and show them, but
yeah, no, I think that you should actually make one of those cards for them because I think that they would love it.
Yeah, it was just it was fun, and did I even use a stamp? I didn't.
Not yet.
I didn't put a sentiment on it yet.
It's more of a background kind of technique.
Yes. Very fun though.
I'm going to put 3 little gold things down at the bottom here. I don't like that one though. That one had a goober on it. Okay, I'll put one there. One here. And one over here.
I bet you were wondering a few times during that, though, how far off the rails I was going to go.
No, I really liked what you were doing. I thought it was great, and I think it will be really fun. And I think they'll like your idea, and it's so different. It's just so different, and I think that's what's really fun about it. All right, well, there is my finished card today. Lots of gold in there, lots of gold shine. The perimeter matches all the gold in there, so that was a little tip that you got to see today if you're new. And then I just like the whole thing. I mean, I know it's not traditional Gina K because it doesn't have black, but I don't know. What do you guys think? You like it? Cool. Very cool. Okay, well, we are going to give away a gift certificate to Gina K Designs. So, Tom.
Wow.
Come on in.
Wow.
Okay. Gift certificate
Yes.
to Gina K Designs. Here we go, everybody. Pay attention. Drum roll, please. The winner is Delma Rivera Robey. Delma
Yay,
Rivera.
Delma, congratulations.
Robey.
All right. All you have to do is send your name and address to just your name and email address to info@ginakdesigns.com, and we will send you a digital gift card that you can use anytime you want at ginakdesigns.com. All right, everybody. Well, this was so much fun. We have a brand new release coming up for you next Tuesday night, a new kit, a new master layout set. Our illustrators are going to be joining us with all of their beautiful designs, and we've got a few surprises too. Can't wait to show you. In the meantime, stay safe and healthy. We love you all so very much. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.